Jess Tandler, welcome to Security Halt podcast. How are you doing?
Hey, Denny, thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Absolutely. I love my mission of being able to reach out and find amazing entrepreneurs, but when I find them within the veteran space and specifically within the soft space, I get super excited. So when I found out about your company and what you're doing, I immediately wanted to have you on. So today, I don't want to just dive in your business endeavors. I want to find out how you got involved in that world, but you're also a veteran, and I want to know how and why you got involved with serving our nation.
Yeah, so back in way up, I'm an Army brat. So both of my parents were in the Army, in the GWAT, and they were actually divorced. They divorced when I was really young and remained friends. But because they were divorced, the Army was allowed to deploy them at the same time. So, and they were MPs, so they were doing like the 15-month rotations to Iraq. And
I remember.
yeah, and one year like those deployments overlapped,
Oh,
and so it was like kind of a choice, like you can go live with your grandma. There's this boarding school down in Florida that started accepting girls, like you can go there. And I was like, oh, boarding school all day, because like as much as living in a retirement neighborhood sounded like a great time, it was just like I felt like we were all leaving. It wasn't like
mm,
my parents were leaving and then I was getting left behind. So I set out on my own adventure is kind of what it felt like. So that was a military boarding school. It was like an Air Force-esque kind of vibe. And so during my time there, I was like, oh, I'm never joining the military. Like, I've seen what this has done to my family. I'm stuck here in this military boarding school by myself, even though it was my choice, then you do it and then you get mad. So I was like, yeah, this is probably not for me. And so, fast forward, I graduate high school and go to a super hippie college in California, UC Santa Cruz. The mascot's
oh
like a
yeah,
banana slug. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I was out there and I just didn't fit in like at all. And I loved everybody there. I loved, the friends that I did have, but it was just like the world view was just so different. Like my family's got a ton of people in the military. They were constantly deploying. And the culture at UC Santa Cruz was great in its own reason. But I just couldn't get there from where I was, and they were never going to get to where I was at, where they were. And I was like, you know what? Like, I don't fit in here. What's going on here is great. Um, and maybe I need to look at, is there something I can do to make sure that these people never have to change their worldview? Like they're living in this bubble of peace and their problems are their problems. And like, that's awesome. Like there's a lot of stuff that like they don't have to worry about. And on top of that, like college super expensive, like even with
Oh yeah.
my parents like disabled veteran status and the education benefits that brought me, it was still crazy expensive. So I was like, this is not like I can't make this investment when I don't feel confident about like where I'm going. So I was like, you know what I could do to put all of this on pause so I can figure my shit out, was drop out and join the military. So I enlisted in 2013 as a POS2 linguist. And I chose that job, like I needed the student loan repayment. So like that narrowed down the jobs I was choosing from. And just from like seeing, from the outsider's perspective, but still in a military family, like how the war was playing out. And then I like history. I like military history. So in my mind, like when the world's in trouble, or like particularly when America's in trouble, the entire weight of everything we built is thrown behind the infantrymen, like at the end of the day. And I was like, at that time, I can't be that guy because they didn't allow women. So I was like, well, what can I do that I feel like best supports that guy? And Pashto linguists like made a ton of sense just because like in Afghanistan, culturally, like you can't jump out of a truck, I'm sure, and just talk to whoever you want over there. So I was like, well, if I can be that type of an asset, then that's what I'm going to do. And so I chose to do that. While I was in language school, they started talking about like seeing if women could do like a pre-ranger program and piloting this and piloting that. And so like kind of those winds of change were starting to blow. And upon like graduation, West Point like scrubs all the ERBs of the soldiers that go through DLI, typically because they're good fit, right? They're coming out of an academic environment. Some of them have college, they've taken the SAT, whatever. So I popped on that and they were like, hey, do you want to apply to go to West Point? And I was like, like I could put my career in an incubator while the Army figures this stuff out and maybe get closer to the job that I want to do. And I can finish my degree. So it sounded like a great opportunity. So I took it. And like, at first I thought like my parents were behind it because my dad was like a battalion sergeant major at the time, which to me seemed like a huge deal, So I was like, I called him and I was like, they're asking me to go to West Point. Like, did you call somebody? Like, what is going on? And then like, they're like, you have a day to make this decision because I was on orders. Like I was leaving and I was like, they told me I have a day to decide. And my dad's like, there's no way that's what's going on. Like, number one, I didn't call anybody. You're probably misunderstanding what's going on. So like, I'm like, Dad, I need you to help me make this decision. And he just like didn't believe like what was happening. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll do it. And so, yeah, so I, go to West Point and my freshman year, that's when those first two girls graduated Ranger School. And then that November, they opened up the combat arms branches to women. So, fast forward 3 years or whatever, where it's time for me to decide on my branch, super easy choice. Like I ranked like infantry number 1 and then every single other branch with a branch detail infantry after that. And like at the bottom was like armor, aviation, like the stuff where you couldn't branch detail infantry because like I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Because in my mind, like, again, I don't think like the regular infantrymen kind of get the attention that they deserve. Because you can't hold terrain with bombs, like, and you can't mass produce stuff. Like there's just so many things that like on a large scale, you need those guys. And so that's what it's all about when America's truly in trouble.
Absolutely.
And so I wanted to get as close to that guy as I could.
Yeah, that's we forget and people don't understand this and it gets muddled. SOF gets highlighted so much, but it's a supporting effort. It is not the main effort. You're never going to the idea, and it's funny, the GWAT completely removed focus of what special forces, which is when you say special forces, that's just Green Berets. We're irregular. We're the unconventional forces guys. Our jobs traditionally should be by, with, and through with a partner force in support of large scale operations. The meat and potatoes of combat is always going to be your infantry. It's always going to be, shout out to the alma mater, the schoolhouse that made me, 2504. It's your paratroopers. It's your ground force dudes. And we don't talk about what it takes to become an infantryman, what it takes to really get in there. Because let me tell you, I'm a proud graduate of infantry school. I'm a proud graduate of the 82nd. And it's a lot of work, especially for our young officers. Because I hate to tell you this, West Point does not prepare you for walking in to that company area.
You know what I mean? Like, no chance. Yeah, that was and the biggest transition, like talking about young officers like hitting the line, I first noticed it in Airborne School because like if you think you take a West Pointer, it's peer leadership all the way through West Point, and then peer leadership all the way through IVOLIC, and then obviously peer leadership, like hugely important in Ranger School, and you don't have the rank on, you don't have none of that stuff on in Ranger School. And but at Airborne School, you do have the rank on. So for me, I was like standing in a formation feeling like I was just another private, right? But like there's privates in that formation that look at you as an officer. Like you might be that first officer that they've ever been really close with. And so you have to like flip a switch and conduct yourself accordingly really, really fast, whereas like you haven't really had to do that in the past, So like that was luckily I got to work out the kinks at Airborne School. I definitely don't think I perfected it by the time I showed up to One Fury, but because that was my first battalion I was in. But yeah, that like you don't get prepared for that at all because your whole pipeline is peer leadership, and it's good that it's that way because that's the hardest way to lead. But like realizing that those young eyes are on you, and like you might be the first officer they run into, and that kid might be a sergeant major one day. And if you like act like a jackass, then you create a sergeant major that doesn't like lieutenants, and like that's not good for anybody. You know what I mean?
That's how they're exactly how they're created. That's exactly what happens. I've seen it happen in real time in Ardennes.
Yep, that's exactly
Core
right.
memory created.
yeah, it's a canon event in life.
Yeah.
Run into one of those guys. But yeah, so but yeah, the road to the 82nd wasn't overly challenging. Like I was with my buddies and like all of that stuff. I actually got fired from my first platoon.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, over memes.
So, no.
Yeah, so
that's a whole world I did not understand.
Yeah. So it was like back then, this is like 2019, 2020, like the military meme community on Instagram was like building, but it wasn't really anything that serious yet. And so my buddy started a meme page called This Is Not Pre-Ranger, because that was just like in IBOLC, they would be like, this is not pre-ranger, like we're teaching you to be an infantry officer, we're not preparing you for ranger school. And like they had to say that because in my opinion, IBOLC is 100% pre-ranger. Like, so we were just like cooking the entire like POI and everything that was going on in that school on that meme page. And like, we would just send them to my buddy and like, he would post them. And I just did my like Beyonce and Destiny's Child move. And I was like, I think I have a unique take here. So I'm going to start my own meme page. And I named it Call Her Sir, a spoof on the Call Her Daddy podcast. Because like the IBOLC cadre, there was like 5 girls in the class at the time.
Holy shit. I remember your meme page. Yeah, I remember it. Yeah. Quick segue. I was in Afghanistan during that time period, and what we would do is we would make actual paper memes after each mission. Like we would do our AARs, and whatever crazy shit happened, we would turn it into a meme.
Yeah.
And it would go up on the wall with like the date time group of the mission. It would be like, yes, this is like what represents our fine deployment. Like this mission, we made a mission meme every single time. But I remember going through, and I now clearly remember your page. Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, my friend and I, because there's like 5 girls in IBOLC at the time. And for people who are not familiar with like the infantry pipeline, IBOLC is the infantry basic officer leader course. Every branch has one, and that one's ours. And there was like 5 of us in there. And at the time, that was like a very large number. Like this was the most women that had been in IBOLC at one time, like ever. And the cadre would like, because the NCO cadre at IBOLC still call you like sir, ma'am, whatever. And I think that's a good thing because you kind of like get used to that, and it helps you conduct yourself accordingly because you're not a college kid anymore. You know what I mean? But they would put their little spin on it. It would be like what the fuck are you doing, sir? Like, and then you'd feel bad. And yeah.
That still happens in SF.
Yeah, exactly. They find a way. But yeah, so they would call us like sir on accident. And at the time, like we hadn't shaved our heads yet or nothing like that because we didn't need to in IBOLC. So like we still had like long hair, and it's like, all right, guy, like come on. Infantry's been open for a while. Like I'm not a dude, But so we, came up with the meme page title, and like the kind of what I was getting at was like, as we integrate, we can all laugh at ourselves. You know what I mean? Like when it gets too stuffy and too prude and everyone's on eggshells around each other, like no one wants to work in that environment, but we can all laugh at ourselves. Like we can laugh at creepy dudes in the cop just as hard as we can laugh at, a small girl trying to hoist a large man onto her back, like, because both of those things are hilarious. And like, we can all laugh at ourselves and just like fucking relax a little bit, because like integration can be really tense, and that's not like the Army's a people business, and like you got to figure out how to get people to work together at the end of the day.
Hey, at the end of the day, the orders came down. You got to go with it. You got to move with it. Like things
Yeah.
are happening, whether you like it, whether you agree with it. Everybody has their own opinions, but at the end of the day, like you have to get over it, continue and
Yeah.
move along with the mission.
Yeah. And I think what gets lost is like, no one told me how to be a female infantry platoon leader. I just learned how to be a platoon leader. But
Exactly.
like, I would be kidding myself if I said that like it was exactly like being a dude. Like, it was very different than being a dude, but no one was telling me how to do that. On the flip side of the coin, nobody is telling my platoon sergeant how to now have the first female platoon leader that this battalion has had. You know, for example, I don't know if I was the first one in the battalion, but like that's just like an example, because a lot of these NCOs that I worked with had not been in that position before either. So no one's writing a manual to tell young leaders how to carry out policies that are coming from the Pentagon. So like the very least we can do is like crack some jokes about it. You know what I mean? And that didn't go over like great. Like, but I shut the meme page down after I left Benning, because I was like, you got to grow up. Like, no one wants a platoon leader who's like a meme lord. Like, maybe some people do, but like, I mean, I was a private once, and you just want a leader without baggage. So it was just like, get your tab and get your airborne wings and get up there and start learning. So I shut the meme page down, kind of focused on that. But some investigation had started before I
Yeah.
left Benning, but I was never notified by like an IO or anything that I was under investigation. So when I showed up to my battalion and I, you know, a couple weeks later got put into a platoon, I like had no idea like anything was wrong. And yeah, like we were in the field and I get told by my commander, like, hey, we got to go see the BC. And I'm like, that's not good. Like, you know, he's probably not telling me, he's not calling me out of the field to tell me like I'm doing a great job. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably not what's happening
No.
right now, you know? So I'm sitting there like thinking of every wrong thing I've ever done. And I'm like, dude, it could be anything, you know, like I have no idea. And then I go in there and he's, irate immediately, like screaming, mad, you know, like maybe if you sat him down, he would tell you he wasn't screaming. I felt like I was being screamed at, you know, so like, but
Either way.
either way, it was a scary situation for me. I'm standing up, like locked up, dude. And I'm just like, what am I in here for? And he's like, because he's speaking in vague terms about like not being a professional. We can't have leaders like this in our formation. And I'm like, dude, he's not giving me anything here, man. Like, what the fuck is it? And then he starts talking about memes. And I was just like, I had to like hide the look of relief on my face, because I'm like, oh, it's memes? Like, this is not a big deal, you know? It was a big fucking deal, because like the CG of the Maneuver Center of Excellence had sent this investigation over to All American 6, and then it came
Oh,
down
fuck.
and landed on my battalion commander's desk. So like I was in it and just had like no idea, because like in the infantry, like, I mean, you remember the stuff that's said in the COFs, you know, and now everybody's got these like signal group chats. Like there's some wild shit that like flies around. So I was like, well, none of the memes I made were like that bad, you know? And I was like, this is a bunch of infantrymen. Like they're going to clutch their pearls. Like they're like Southern Baptist ladies over my memes. Well, they were like, pearls were being clutched. They were very upset. And, yeah, so I got ripped out of that platoon. Got a very strongly worded GOMAR from All American 6, like threatening to, cause I didn't get a chance to rebut the investigation. Like the whole process was just really weird, because it was happening between two installations. And like, he was talking about kicking me out of division. And I'm like, where are they going to send me? Like Alaska? You know, like what the fuck is going on, dude? I can't be up there. Like, it's the cold.
I ain't built for this shit, dog.
So I was like, dude, just kick me out, man. So I paid my penance with like 9 months on staff. Not ideal, but the only thing I could do was like continue to perform. And some days I didn't want to. Like some days I was mad, like at this system, at what I perceived to be some double standard vibes going on, you know, because again, like I had heard the jokes and things that were being said around me that like probably would have offended somebody else. Didn't offend me because I think it's hilarious. Like I joined the infantry for a reason because I think they're super funny. You know, like that was one of the big ones. They're a joy to be around. And
it should have been like a Beret badge. Like,
yeah, right.
You're truly one of us.
Well, and the battalion had a meme page at the time, like Butt Devil Actual or whatever. It was like a meme page of One Fury at the time. And while I was while All American 6 was deciding on my GOMAR or whatever, the Sergeant Major of the Army at the time addressed this whole meme thing and said on his Instagram, like, if you're a leader going after these meme pages, you need to take a look in the mirror because you're focusing on the wrong things. And I'm just sitting there like, hello, like he has spoken, you know, but he does not speak to the officer corps apparently. And so I got absolutely gassed. The dudes in that battalion didn't do this to me. You know, like, number one, it was my own actions. I made the memes. I knew I was putting myself at risk because, like, conduct unbecoming of an officer is a loosey-goosey term. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I took the risk of doing some shit that could be construed as unprofessional and getting, like, you know, torched over it. And then maybe there were some leaders above me who saw an opportunity to get someone out of their formation that they didn't want there. You know, like, I won't ever know. Won't ever know, man, because, like, it is what it is, you know, but the guys didn't do that to me. The paratroopers didn't do that to me. So even though I was on staff in a job that I really didn't like, working for a couple majors who kind of, I think, took some enjoyment in, like, twisting the knife a little bit, you know, it was like a sled dog mentality, man. Like, you're hooked up. So just, like, you got to keep going for them because they still deserve, like, the best staff work that you have to offer, even though it's not glamorous. Like, it makes a real difference in the training that they're able to do. So, like, I kept working hard. It got noticed. And once my GOMAR was said and done, the same battalion commander that wanted to kick me out of his formation basically said, like, whatever way this investigation goes, like, I'll find somewhere else for you to work, was, like, what he told me. So whether you get in trouble or not, like, you're not gonna be in this formation. And at the end of it, he asked me to stay. And part of me wanted to leave, like, bounce over to 2P or, like, another battalion in the brigade. But I was like, you know what? Like, I busted my ass to prove myself when I got here. And this entire battalion just saw me get knocked down, you know? And so how good would it be for them to see me stand up and, like, continue to lead and bounce back from something? And, like, whatever dudes that I'm leading, if I recommend you for an Article 15 to the commander, just know that I'm not doing it lightly because I have been there. So, like, don't tell me I don't know what you're going through. If you're in trouble and you're in some hot water, like, you know, we're going to hold you accountable. We're going to do the right thing by the formation. But, like, on the other side, as a team, we'll get you through this, you know, because I had friends in the battalion that did that for me. So, like, so I chose to stay and ended up, you know, doing another round of rifle platoon leader, successful that time, and then moved on to heavy weapons platoon, so the deco platoon at the end. So I'm glad I stayed. It was a pretty hilarious thing to, like, get in trouble for, but the memes come in handy, like the skills for, like, my guerrilla marketing I do for Tandler's Tallow.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm still putting those skills to use, still making, like, trash memes all the time, but.
Well, Jess, I want to go back and kind of reflect on this journey with you. Like, one thing that we talk about on the show is, like, resilience and grit. And we know, like, you can't build that in the happy-go-lucky world. You have to go through some shit to build it. You're not wanted, at least culturally and in the eyes of the vast majority. You're entering a world that not a lot of the women are going into. You're choosing to walk in there saying, like, I've dreamt of this. I want to do this. And whether you agree with the laws and regulations and the changes, like, at the human level, you have to respect that. I've dreamt of this. I've literally wanted to do this. Can you at least see that I have a passion for this? The doors have been opened, like, whether you agree with it or not. Can you at least look at me as a human being that has a heart, that has dreams, and wants to do this? When a whole bunch of other men don't. I want to be here. And then you go through this challenge of getting removed and again sent to like the worst fucking place on earth, and that's any staff section, special operations or a conventional fortress.
Yeah.
Fuck staff.
Yeah,
You get sent there. How did you keep the hope alive, and how did you keep yourself moving forward?
So I just had to remember that I was the same person the day before I got in trouble as I was the day after I got in trouble. Like, the Army's got its regulations, it's got its rules. You break them, you owe something to the institution for that. Like, whatever, that does not change who you are. There's plenty of people who like never actually get in trouble in the Army that probably should, you know, and they got to deal with that on like their own personal level. But like, I knew that I was the same person with the same passions, with the same focus and like the same drive. And I didn't know what was going to happen. Like, I could have gotten kicked out of the Army, and at that time I would have had to pay West Point back like $250K. Like, it could have ruined, you know what I mean? Like, you have to serve that first contract, and if you don't, you owe West Point money. So it's free college, like with the condition of you're doing 5 years, you know what I mean? So like, it was scary, but like, I had done a lot to get there. And I was not going to let like some administrative process compromise like my values, my integrity, and like my character. And maybe some people thought I had shitty character because I was sitting here like making these memes that were kind of disloyal to the institution or whatever, like opinions on my character being what they were. Like, I was still the same person. And so I was like, well, I'm not, like, my dad used to always tell me like, integrity is the only thing no one can take away from you. You can only give that away. And it's not integrity in terms of like just telling the truth all the time or whatever. Like, that's part of it, but like another part of integrity is just like the fabric of who you are and like standing as yourself in front of whatever challenge or adversity is in front of you. And so, yeah, you know, I was in a bad situation, but I was still the same person. So I just refused to compromise that. I changed my approach. Like, I learned from, you know, the mistake, if you want to call it, of running that meme page, breaking a rule and getting in trouble. But where it came from was a good place, and I was trying to do a good thing. So I was like, I'm going to continue to be, that person is a good person. We just got to find a different way to channel it so that I don't get in trouble and I can continue to lead. Because that was the biggest bummer, was like, I was leading dudes and then like I wasn't, and like that sucked, you know,
Yeah.
like, because I really enjoy leadership and mentorship. Like, I had a blast doing that. So yeah, it was just like, whatever you got to do to like get back to that. And it's like, when you're in it every day, like, I didn't want to wake up and be just like angry and mad and dejected and whatever. Like, you got to get up and keep going. Like, and that's I felt like the only option I really had, you know?
Hell yeah. Did you at least have a support group or somebody within there that believed in you, or found like you had like you're still like, you know, you go to Airborne School, you find somebody you can fucking laugh with and fucking make jokes with. You go to Ranger School, you go to any selection process, you'll find people that you can lean on. Like, it's not uncommon to find your I hate the term, it's fucking stupid, battle buddy. Just your friend. Were you able to find peers that you could lean on during this time?
Yeah, I did. It was a little weird at first because like there were people in the battalion, like other lieutenants who I had gone to West Point, Airborne Ranger School, IBOLIC. Like, we had been together for like 5 years, you know. So you think you're friends. Go ahead and get in trouble and see, you know, who's really your friend, because like everybody wants to be the scout platoon leader, the mortar platoon leader. Everybody wants, or a bunch of people wanted to go to Ranger Regiment, right? You don't get those things if you piss the BC off. And one way to piss the BC off is to hang out with the lieutenant who's in the doghouse. So I realized that I didn't have that many friends, real friends in the battalion who are going to be there with me like through thick and thin. And you don't expect anybody to feel sorry for you and hang out with you, even if it's at their own expense. But when you find people that do, like, those are the homies, you know. So I, you know, had a friend, his name's Kizzy. He actually got in trouble. He was like a year group or two ahead of me. He got in trouble and he had bounced back. and he had actually moved battalions as part of his, road to redemption. And he was there for me in a way that, like, I don't know, it's just like an undescribable, like, did not have to do that. You know what I mean? Like, helped me write my GOMAR rebuttal. Made sure I wasn't, like, depressed.
Yeah.
Like, made me laugh. Like, all of this stuff, like, still checked up on me. And that's really all you need. Like, somebody to text when, like, you're having a bad day in a bad situation and somebody does something to make it worse and you just want to vent, like, having that friend that's there. And then we ended up, because we were both platoon leaders in BCO, I got pulled out of BCO, and then he ended up going to DCO, and then I ended up going to DCO. So, like, we kind of stayed together, which was great because, like, I was really sad when he had to leave to go to, like, Triple C, but yeah, like, having that, like, key person, it doesn't have to be a ton of people. My husband and I were dating at the time, and, like, it's really weird, like, personal note of, like, coming to brag as, like, a bald female with, like, peach fuzz is, like, you go out on the town on a Friday night to have fun, and whether you're going to, like, Southern Pines or wherever, and you see a bald female walking into the bar, you're wondering, like, did she go to Ranger School? You know what I mean? Like, just, like, automatically. And so that's what, like, every conversation became about. And I was, like, really having this great relationship with my boyfriend at the time. And I was like, does he only like me because, like, he thinks I'm cool? And then, and, like, looking back now, like,
just this tab, damn it.
Yeah, like, looking back now, like, we have a kid, and, like, obviously, but, like, when I got in trouble, that was actually a really great thing for, like, my own security in my relationship, because I'm like, oh, he's just here. Like, he's just here. He doesn't, and when I say, like, I was the same person the day before that I was, the day after I got in trouble, part of the reason why I felt so strongly about that was because of how he treated me, and his support was just, like, completely unending, because he didn't see me as, like, a female infantry officer with a Ranger tab. Like, I was Jess, like, I was this girl. So, like, my friends at work, my boyfriend was huge. And then my dad, the shadow governor, the old retired sergeant major that you can call and be like, hey, I think this is bullshit. And he's going to tell you, like, if it's bullshit or not. And yeah, we talked on the phone every single day, like, whether I was having a good day or a bad day. Like, it was just checking in, and I just made it through, like, one step at a time. I started running, like, a lot, because no headphones, just raw, like, just out there.
Just casually raw dogging a 7-mile run.
Yeah, just working it out, dude. Like, I wouldn't even wear a watch. Like, I would just go until I was fucking tired, and I would make my way back to the car. And, like, and if that's what you got to do to, like, get through it, like, that's what you got to do. And, I probably had some unhealthy coping mechanisms mixed in there too, but, like, I didn't let it get out of control. Like, I didn't find myself, like, partying or drinking to, like, get away from anything. It was more just to, like, head toward having fun, but which is good. Like, if you're relying on substances to suppress something, like, you should hit the trail and, like, confront it, So
yeah, we do a lot of that in the 82nd. It's a popular thing among kids.
yeah. So yeah, if you're, like, a young hua, like, it's so tempting to just, like, drink your face off every weekend, but, like, it's not the way, and they'll figure it out,
Hopefully, but that's the one thing that, like, I always talk about in the culture that needs to change, and the GWAT didn't do anything to kill that. It amplified it. Like, we just go drink about it, and it, like, fuck, dude, it is not the answer. It is not. It is a fast track to destruction. Trust me.
And I think we are starting to see that change because of, like, the whole health and wellness space in social media. So, like, what's in your face, like, not the glamorization of getting blackout drunk at the barracks and getting in a fight every weekend. Like, it's Andrew Huberman in your face. It's, like, all these other things in your face. Like, dudes are like, do I need to get a red light vest? Like, like, turn it around. And, like,
whose cold tub is this in the barracks?
Yeah, no cold tubs in the barracks, guys. No, but yeah, so I think, like, we are, like, my husband on his team, like they have noticed that, like they went TDY recently, and he texted me and he was like, hey, download the Yuka app. And I was like, all right, I downloaded it. I started scanning stuff in the pantry. I started throwing stuff away, and like what they were doing on TDY was like, every time they would go get something to eat, it was like a competition, like whose like snack haul could like get the best Yuka score. And that's what these dudes are doing, like out on TDY. And so, yeah, I think we are seeing a culture of like the whole wellness, not like, can you right face and run really fast? Or like, you know what I mean? But like, are you healthier as a person, like spiritually, mentally, whatever? And I think the younger that dudes like get into that, as they face issues going forward, whatever inevitable conflict that some of these guys are going to find themselves in, like they're going to have habits that they built up as privates, just because the whole culture around like drinking and substances and stuff like that, I think is really, really starting to change. And it's early on, like you're still going to see dudes at the Bears getting crazy on the weekends, but like I think that the tide is starting to turn, and they're at least thinking about that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I see it. I see the hope. And you're absolutely right. It's thankfully alternative media and things like podcasts are coming around and putting it in your face. And the GWAT cock rock era is fading and going away by the wayside. It's just like, it's not that cool to be the disgruntled vet and the broken guy. It's like, dude, go do some meditation, go talk to a therapist.
I love hearing those stories.
Don't drink.
Yeah, I absolutely love hearing those stories, because like, and the dudes, like they rely on like the previous generation having like beat their head against the same wall. It doesn't work, and so they find something else that works for them. Because like, are we in like a big protracted conflict right now where dudes are seeing a bunch of combat? Like, no. But guess what? It's still an epidemic in the military: suicide. So like, we are losing kids left and right to suicides. Car accidents still happen, motorcycle accidents, training accidents. Like these things like still happen to these guys. And when you have a commander pull, like when I did some time in 573 as like their air officer, the cab squadron, before it got like disbanded with the whole shift in the force. But we had like a number of suicides in 3rd Brigade that year. And, our commander would call us out, and we would have a formation. We'd get in a school circle and we'd discuss it. And he would always say, like, do not turn to alcohol to fix this. Like, alcohol is not going to fix this. To whatever degree you knew this guy and whatever you're feeling, just know, like, one thing that's definitely not going to work is alcohol. So like, leaders are like getting on that like straight away. And then it's being reinforced through things like what you guys are saying on your podcast of like, this is not going to work if you try and do it this way, because we tried and did it this way, and like we lost a lot of people doing that, and so, yeah, I think like what you guys do and the message that you're sending these young guys, they might not be having the same career experiences that you guys are having, or that you guys had, but your message is ringing true. Like, nonetheless, we can see it make a difference.
They're better equipped, I think. And the thing that I always want people to understand is, don't dream of Afghanistan and Iraq, the GWAT era. Like, it looks sexy, like the constant deployments. Like, we do a really shitty job of letting the younger generation, the new generation of service members, understand that their fight and their day of glory is right here, right now, in the present moment. What you're doing, like, be grateful for what you're doing, for your mission, for your training. It may not seem as sexy as you think now, but you're going to recall those times. You're going to be fun. You're going to have those fond memories of what you're doing. Trust me, your fight may be around the corner. So be grateful for what you're doing today in this present moment. Don't dream of Afghanistan. The place fucking sucks. So did Iraq. 0 out of 5 stars. Wherever you go next and whatever you're going to face is going to be insanely tough and challenging. Be prepared and focus on your present moment. Like, be happy that you're experiencing a new culture, a new shift, a new era. Your enemy is far greater, far more important to be prepared and trained for than what we faced. I wholeheartedly believe that. And I think it's the every once in a while when I talk to somebody that's going or wants to go to selection, it's like, oh man, I missed out. You didn't miss out on anything, young man. You didn't miss out on anything. Your next great fight is around the corner. Could be. I hope not. I hope you have a great career and you never have to go to combat. But I
Yeah.
understand the drive and passion for it. So just be prepared. Just be willing to have a great adventure. Like that's a thing that's hard to convey to somebody that's young, that wants that eager deployment and that next challenge.
Yeah.
Just enlist. Wait for it. If it comes, it comes. Be prepared for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like nobody wants, like we don't want young infantrymen or young Green Berets who don't want to fight. Right. Like that's not good. Like we want them to be super aggressive and really want to go fight. And one of the challenges that I had as like a young leader is how do you keep those dudes motivated, knowing that at least in your short time while you're there, that deployment's not coming. Like being in the 82nd and you're like sitting on the wall on the immediate response force. So you're always like ready for anything. And like, you know, we did like get spun up for Afghanistan, and then 1st Brigade went, and then Russia was about to invade Ukraine. So we go to Poland, you know, so like we did get to do some stuff. So like anybody listening that's thinking about enlisting, like do it and go to the 82nd, because like if you're going to go anywhere, it's with those guys. And then if you want to be a Green Beret, like Green Berets are working all the time. It might not be the work that you think it is, but like if you read about what Green Berets are actually supposed to do, that is still very much going on, you know? So like the work is out there, but like how do you keep young, aggressive men motivated when you know the deployment's not coming? And so I looked at every single NCO and every single private as somebody's sergeant major. So I'm only in your life. We were on a crash course and I'm in your life for like 24 months max, and then I'm out. So like, did I prepare some future kid sergeant major to be the leader that they need? Did I do everything that I could to prepare him? And if the answer was yes, which I think it was, I can get out of the Army after, you know, like 11 years total, but only 5 years of being an infantryman. I can get out with no deployment patch or whatever. And it sucks, you know, like I wish I had a cooler story, but like I did my job. Like I did exactly what was asked of me. I trained my dudes hard. I grew as a leader and I helped develop them. And like, if you're a leader that's getting out and you're wondering if you did enough, like just take a look through your DMs and your text messages and look at all the dudes that still text you. When something happens in their life and they text you, they're excited. They're like, oh my gosh, like blah, 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 this happened, or I got this job or whatever. Like that is how you know that you did a good job, you know? And I don't think that like there's signs all over the place that you did what your guys needed you to do. But maybe we're not listening, you know what I mean? And so it can seem like you were just like a breeze that blew past somebody. And for some people, I was a breeze. I blew past them. I didn't really make a difference in their life, like, or they fucking hated me, like, because there was that too. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's not gonna like you, and it's fine. But like the dudes in my platoon that I was like, that's a good dude, that's a good NCO. Like, if those dudes are still talking to you, like, you did fine. Like, don't worry about it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to pause and let you know, like, you said something that I think a lot of our veterans feel like, oh, I didn't do anything special. And I'm like, pause and reflect on your journey. If you're about to retire or you're about to hang it up, just give yourself like 5 minutes of like reflection on this amazing journey you've been on. And like, dude, you were a linguist, then you got a shot at going to West Point, which I know we shit on officers in West Point, but that is an American institution, an American military leadership institution. That's like a very small percentage of people get to go there. You got to do that. You went to Ranger School as one of the first females to be allowed to go to that school, the premier leadership school. Knock that out. Then you get to go to the 82nd Airborne Division, a historic division. Like, I'm not joking. I'm a first generation American. I don't anchor myself in this country with thoughts and imaginations of like, oh, what it would like, wonder what it's like to have lineage. I have lineage because I served in that unit. I can look back and be like, hey, I might not have grandparents that served, but I served in a historic unit. You knocked all that out. Hey, dude, like that is amazing. And you got to be an infantry leader. Not a lot of people get to do that. So when you look back on your career, by no means ever tell yourself that you didn't get to do anything great, because you got to do some amazing shit. It might not be highlighted in some fucking boner movie or some influencer reel recap, but you got to do some amazing shit. And that, my friend, is something to be extremely proud of. You got to give yourself a pat on the back.
I feel super fortunate, you know, and it feels like, I guess, like getting into some of the new stuff, because it feels like a past life where I'm at now. And I only got out of the Army, like, I mean, my terminal leave ended 2 days ago, you know, so I'm not that far removed. Yeah. Like, I went and opened up a storage unit, and they were like, "Are you active military?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Oh, shit.
First time ever. You know, I've never been asked that out of the military. So, but yeah, like, I feel super fortunate, but it feels like a past life because, I mean, I kind of knew, like, when I was in the heavy weapons platoon role, I would sit down for like the counselings with my commander, like after big training events every quarter, like whatever. And he was an in-your-face leader, and he still is. And so he would ask like very personal questions, and he would like make it uncomfortable. Like, you weren't just going to sit down and be like, "Oh, good job at gunnery, like see you later." You know what I mean? Like, you were going to get into it. And so I just knew every time, I'm like, "Oh, here we go." And so we start getting into kind of some of my personal goals, and I'm like, I think I want to start a family, but I have no idea how to do that as an infantry officer. You know, there's no pathway. For officers, I think it's easier because like you can do a broadening assignment where you go like teach ROTC, you go to grad school, you do whatever. So like you can find time to stop. Who I really feel, you know, bad for. And it's their choice. Like, these girls are fine, but like the infantry NCOs, there is no pathway to kind of pull them out, put them on staff, let them, you know, be pregnant, have their baby, recover, put them in, and then get them their KD and get them back on timeline. Like, there's not, that structure doesn't exist. And like, I've seen it cause marital problems with female infantrymen. Like, I've seen it, you know, and we can say like, "Oh, well, if your husband doesn't support blah, 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 then maybe you should," like, we can make comments on their marriage, but like, it's none of our fucking business. And like, we should be supporting, you know, making more Americans, you know? So like, but right now, like, the Army's kind of still figuring that out. And a lot of these girls, like, it's not laid out because these aren't the type of girls that are going to ask for anything. Despite like what we see portrayed on like social media and stuff like that, the girls on the line, like, the girls on the line are happier about the gender neutral PT standards, like, than anybody else. Cause like, we're tired of fucking talking about it. You know what I mean? Because like, you don't get like a female live fire. Like, you're still out there, like, doing the thing. And then the subject of PT comes up, and then it's like all this drama, even though like your raw scores are just where your peers are. But like, so these girls are not putting their hand up asking for help. You know what I mean? And so, and when I was talking to my commander about it, he was like, the second you feel like you want to start a family, you should start a family. Like, the Army's going to figure out like how to retain you and where to put you. Let the Army figure, that's the Army's problem, because like, your talent, and it is the Army's job to keep you. So like, do, you know, whatever. And I still like was unsure about it, kept putting it off. And like, I was sitting in Poland, like, we didn't have like tents or anything like that when we first got there. We were just like in the woods. So we're like around a fire, and I'm sitting with one of my old West Point classmates who was like an armor officer. And I'm like, "I'm getting pregnant as soon as I fucking get back." Like, you know, like, this is so stupid. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know, because it was obvious, like, we weren't going to war. So I was like, "Can I go home?" Like, you know what I mean? But like, yeah. And then we get back, and I go to jump master school, and I'm having fun doing jump master. So I was had to put it off a little longer. And then we get wrapped up into JRTC. So then I'm sitting next to the same girl at JRTC, you know, in the middle of the night, and I'm like, "I'm getting pregnant as soon as we fucking get back." Like, you know? So I actually finally did. But one thing I did do was that before we, you know, started having our family, I found a job up on division staff. So basically what I did was removed myself from this role where I had to be deployable. I didn't want to take up a spot. Like, I didn't want to put it on somebody else to move me, but then they feel bad for moving me and whatever. I removed myself, went up to division staff, got a job that you don't deploy. So I was the deputy immediate response force coordinator. So basically it was me and a major. and we're still good friends to this day. But if there was like a deployment readiness exercise or somebody had to deploy somewhere, basically we were the liaisons between like brigade staffs and division staffs. Like, is this a G1 problem or a G4 problem? And we would get them and help them hit their validation gates and stuff like that. So I got myself in that job, which was the perfect spot to be when you're pregnant, because the IRS deputy is not deploying because you got to outload everybody. So, like once I got there, I was like, I knew I was going to get out, wanted to start the family. And my husband and I had decided, like, somebody's getting out if we're starting a family. Like, this is not going to be sustainable. And basically, like, this, I think the whole like balance thing, I'm not going to call it bullshit. It's bullshit for me. Like, I am not like mature enough or whatever to achieve that. Like, because of that like sled dog mentality. Like, if I'm in the Army, I am going to do that. And like, if I'm a mom, I'm going to do that. And so like, I knew balance for me was not going to be like attainable. And so at first we talked about like both getting out and him going back to school, and maybe he could, you know, have the baby at home and be in school, and then I could work or whatever. And it just kind of shook out. Like, he was like, I don't hate the Army really. So like, I got a good thing going here. Like, I'll hang out, you know? And so then, you know, I decided that I was going to be the one to get out, and then we were going to be able to raise our family the way we wanted, which was with one of us at home. You know, and we want to homeschool, and we'll see how long we do that. It'll probably depend a lot on like sports, you know, if we homeschool all the way through or put them in a program for sports. But yeah, so it's just like, you know, we're going to do it the way we want to do it, and we'll wait until we're able to do it that way. Because I didn't want to outsource it. Like, I feel like it's too important right now, because like I grew up in the 90s where you could go outside and play. It was very chill. Like, you watched a little bit of TV at night, but you know, I was like a teenager the first time I like used the internet, you know? So it was just like, it wasn't like this huge thing. And there's so much shit now, like competing for your child's focus and attention and their brain. So it's like, I feel like I need a little bit more time to make sure that those values are solid before, you know, he goes out into the world. Because I can't protect him from everything forever, but he just needs to have those core values like fully installed before he goes out and faces, you know, what's going to be a lot of shit, like competing for his little like monkey brain to get his attention all the time. So, you know, we knew that like we were kind of in a different situation than our parents were. Like, both my parents worked. I went to daycare. Like, I was fine. You know what I mean? And I don't fault anybody who does it that way. It was just not going to be the way for us. And so, yeah, like, hung up the military hat, you know, and I was ready to, like, staff is not glamorous, and it's most of what officers do.
Absolutely. It sucks. The best years of your entire career go by so fast, and it breaks my heart when you get a good officer. Like, man, like you just want them to go to the higher selection. Like in the SF world, as soon as you get a really good officer that is passionate, leads from the front, and is a true dedicated fucking leader, you're just like, just leave. This place is not for you. Go to the next echelon. Go to the next great selection, succeed, and never look back. Never look back. And then you find out that those guys also have to do staff time up there. So it's like, fuck, I lied to you.
Yeah, it's what that like whole thing is. Yeah, dude, like, you don't need a freaking major clear in a corner. Like, that is a gross waste of resources. But yeah, I mean, like, and that's just like, you know, that's just the reality. Like, I kind of caught on to it at West Point. Like, we would have generals like come talk to us and stuff, talk to the graduating class, whatever, and they would be like, you're about to enter the best time of your career. Being a platoon leader was the best time of my career. And I was sitting there and I was like, bro, you've been in for 33 years. You're telling me the first 36 months was the highlight? Like, that was it. Oh no.
I changed my mind. I immediately changed my mind.
And like, the glory of like small unit leadership as an officer, to be completely frank, is that like those small units don't need an officer to be successful. Like, an ODA can function without a captain. A platoon can function without a lieutenant. But group cannot function without officers who have never led. And nobody wants a company commander who was never a platoon leader. Like, nobody wants that. You know what I mean? So yeah, you know, it's easy to sit back and say like, oh, being a platoon leader is like the best. Like, yeah, dude, because like, it's not that hard, you know, like that's not the shitty thing. That's the fun thing where like you've got 5 NCOs to catch you when you like inevitably make all these mistakes. And like the whole, you know, it was frustrating as an officer, like when other officers would brag like, oh, I've never done staff time. And I'm like, cool, but like, what is it you say you do here? You know what I mean? Because like, it doesn't take like Dick Winters to be able to walk around in the woods at night. You know, our tactics are easy on purpose. The majority of the student population in Ranger School is IBOLIC lieutenants and young dudes from BAT. You know what I mean? So like, if you tell me like, oh, I'm more of a tactical leader, like I'm not super impressed. Like, you know, like that's not how we run organizations. That's not how we sustain a force. Like logistics straight up makes a difference in wartime. And like, if you want to clear corners for a living, you want to kick doors for a living, don't be an officer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't get this super high paycheck and then perform at the level of a private and everybody's going to clap for you. Like, no, dude, like get your ass in there and fucking row. Like, you know what I mean? Like the con-op's not going to write itself. So like, you know, and then the mentorship thing is like, you know, you get a lot of leadership training as an officer, so you bring that too. But like your NCOs have that, like they know how to lead, you know. So like what you offer them is planning and resourcing training management. And like that's where units are struggling right now because a lot of the majors and lieutenant colonels who are in charge of the training calendar at echelon, what were they doing when they were, you know, young lieutenants and captains? Like they were at war. Like a very different workup, very different cycle to, you know, how at least in the 82nd, the IRS cycles look now. And so when you see these training calendars that are just fucking wall to wall craziness, and you're like, did a monkey write this? Like who did this? And it's like, no, like a dude who never had to manage training at a small level is now trying to do it for the division, and the shit is a little complicated. You know what I mean? So like, I think as kind of the newer generation of officers come up, like hopefully we will see like a stabilization of training management start to happen. But like it was a problem in the 82nd. It's a problem in group. Like it's an issue.
Really is
an issue everywhere. And so like, you know, it's so easy to shit on staff, but like, it's so important. Like if you're wondering like, why am I never allowed to go home on leave? Like, you know, why did I work 96 hours this week? You know, and that's why it's like a lot of times it has to do with like those not glamorous jobs on staff. And like platoons don't need lieutenants to run, but battalions can't function without lieutenants. Like you need them there. And so like, I think, you know, kind of if you don't want to do staff time and that's not your thing, like please don't be an officer because you're going to just be a net drain on your organization, you know?
Yeah. It comes with territory.
Exactly.
You gotta understand, embrace the greatness, and be good at the job, or just get out, be done, be happy with your decision to just be like, hey, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to walk away. But if you stay in, it's like, and you're miserable and you're constantly shitting about it. It's like, why are you here? Why are you here, dog? Like
yeah.
either fall in love with it and be really good at it and make a positive impact and change and be that leader that people look like, man, that dude's kicking ass. Like we can see like he's making an impact down there. He's changing the culture. Like I've seen the guys that get doom and gloom, and it's like, hey man, like at the end of the day, you could have just been a Green Beret, could have been an enlisted dude, could have been an 18 Delta. You chose the 18 Alpha path. So embrace it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Staff my
and
con-ops, damn it.
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, help me close out this ammo document for the love of God. Yeah, like it just is what it is. And I think like part of it is so easy. And I'm sure in your world, you know, you do the same thing. It's just to a officer of a different rank, but it is so easy to shit on lieutenants. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like it just writes itself sometimes. But like those lieutenants who like do a lot of staff time, like those are like little gems, and we need to hold on to them. Like if they do a lot of staff time, they were pretty good PL and they actually did pretty well on staff, and they just like swallowed that freaking staff time and took it like a champ, and like fucking protect that guy at all costs, dude, because like that's going to be your S3 one day, you know? And if all we do is like, I've seen it, you know, on staff where like the major is just like running his lieutenants into the ground, not mentoring, like, you know, if the lieutenant's on staff, like fucking counsel that kid, you know, like help him out, dude, because like, just like I looked at privates as somebody's sergeant major one day, like that lieutenant is somebody's commander one day, and they might be a battalion commander when we're like at war with China. So like stop fucking around, you know what I mean? And like develop this leader.
Yes.
Instead of just like shitting on him because you're an angry major and you're going to kick a lieutenant. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's just so stupid, because like we should be saying like, yeah, we should glorify our platoon leaders and they're learning a lot and stuff like that. But you want to talk about like who's driving the ball forward in a battalion every single day? It's not a platoon leader. The platoon leader is focused on like 40 guys. Who's in charge of, you know, the platoon live fire that every single person in the battalion is going to be participating in? It's that lieutenant OIC, you know what I mean, who's planning and resourcing the whole thing. And he's got his guardrails. The battalion commander and the major come in and they, you know, get the briefs and whatever, but like he's driving the fucking train. So like, you know what I mean? Like that deserves, it's not glamorous, but like maybe we could do a better job of like just appreciating those guys for like the work that they do, you know, and then we retain that talent. And, you know, we don't have people that have their ass on their shoulders because they're on staff time. Like, no, this is what you signed up for. Maybe West Point needs to do a better job of like, can you ready to be on staff? Because like, because they show you like just, band of brothers and shit.
Yeah, like, that's all the show, that they glorify, they amplify and they make you romanticize just one aspect of the job. But in reality, if you treat it like the entire thing is important, that you like, hey man, you're going to really love this one aspect of your job, but what's going to make you that great leader is being able to fall in love with all the stuff that's traditionally been highlighted as ugly. But this is what's going to make you just a great asset at the battalion, brigade level. And then when you go and you take that long walk and you go and you take that selection, you go become a Green Beret, guess what? You're going to be able to take all those skills and then make yourself an even better leader. So like, don't shit on it. Embrace it. Embrace all aspects of it. And at the end of the day, like you said it's we don't give, you know, that round of applause, the golf clap, to the guy that's staying till 8 p.m. making sure that live fire range is going to go off without a hitch. It takes a lot to make those exercises function flawlessly or near flawlessly in the conventional army, in the world of regular infantrymen. Like it takes a lot. Fucking give those guys a pat on the back, man. Bring them a monster or two.
Or at least just like don't be an asshole, you know, like you just at a minimum, like be nice, dude. You know what I mean? Like Buddy's going through it. He hasn't been to the grocery store in 3 weeks. He doesn't have time, you know, like he's struggling. He wants a dog. He can't have one because he's working for you, you know, like.
His apartment's still just a bunch of duffel bags.
Yeah, he has no furniture, you know what I mean? But he's in there rowing for you every day, you know? But yeah, it's pretty interesting. And it's interesting to see like on the soft side, like how similar these issues are. Like hearing what my husband's going through at work with the whole like training, resourcing, training management, and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, been there. Like, I remember that. Like, oh, the ASP kicked you back again? So, like, you know, so it's like there's like so many similarities. And so like if you can't handle like if you can't be a good staff officer in the 82nd, like CAG probably doesn't want you. You know what I mean? Like they want people that are going to be excellent no matter where they are. There is no such thing as like a tactical versus an admin leader. Like you're either a leader or you're not. Like I don't care. Again, like I don't care if you can walk in the woods at night. Like is your dude's jump pay fucked up? You know what I mean? Like, cause that's what's impressive. That's what you're getting paid for, you know? And so like, yeah, I've never really like bought into that whole thing. And I did enough staff time to be able to say like, I know that it's important and I know like the teams that you build on staff. And like when I was after my PL time, when I went back up to staff waiting to get out, like talking to young lieutenants, like there is still leadership and mentorship opportunity all over the place on staff. You know what I mean? Like that was like one of my favorite things. Like I can't really relate to like an infantry private as well as I can relate to like a lieutenant who just came here from Ranger School, like has no idea what's going on and is like about to take a platoon. Like that I can talk to you about. Like being a grenadier, it's like, well, you know, I know my way around it, you know.
I've seen and touched a 320. 320, that's what we call them these days? Yeah.
What's that shoot? Like, you know, so it's like I can't really relate as well as like their NCOs are going to know them like much better than I can. But like mentoring other officers on staff is like hugely important, and it's important for retention. And I say that as somebody who like got out and, you know, commanders at Echelon were trying to like talk me out of getting out, you know, but like I knew I was ready, and it wasn't just because like I hate the Army so I'm getting out. Like that's not it. It was just my life. It was time for me to reprioritize, you know, to do the things that I want to do. I spent an entire decade, my 20s, I gave it to the United States. I stood on the wall for 10 years. You didn't really need me for anything crazy. It is what it is. Like, I have these babies.
I'm not angry.
It's fine, you know, like, yeah.
But where did the idea?
Like, I can forgive it, you know, whatever.
What did the idea for being an entrepreneur and diving into the space of, you know, wanting to create something? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I knew from the extensive amount of staff time that I did, I would often be sitting there and being like, I bet if I worked 40% as hard for myself as I did for this guy, like whoever my boss was, whether I liked him or not, you know, I would bust my ass. But like, if I worked 40% as hard for myself, I could probably achieve something pretty great. And the first idea that I had for starting a business, I had built a camper van. Like I took like a ProMaster and like outfitted it out. So we had like a little camper to cruise around in. And I was like, oh, maybe I can do that like as a business, you know? And then I'm like pretty data driven. And a lot of the time I spent on staff was like processing data in a way that like commanders can understand and make decisions off of. So I did that for myself and I crunched those numbers, brother. And it was not going to work. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start with an $85,000 Sprinter and then I'm going to, you know, but I'm going to bootstrap the whole thing and not go into debt. Like, okay, like probably not, you know? So luckily I had done enough analysis like in the beginning to be like, well, that's not going to work. And it was something that I was really excited about in the process. So it was a bit like deflating to be like, man, this thing that I thought I was really passionate about and like wanted to do, like probably not going to be able to do it. So then I was just like, you know what? You're not getting out of the Army to be a business owner. You're getting out of the Army to be a mom. And like, God has a plan, like things are going to work out, but like focus on this promise that you made your husband, you know, because that's what it was. Like, I promised him that like I was going to get out of the Army and raise our son the way I wanted. So even with the business that I have now, I don't let it get to a point until I'm ready to move to the next step, because I'm not going to take away from our son. You know, like I can't, because that breaks my promise to him. It's not what we were trying to do originally, you know. And so I'm growing it slowly. But the Tandler's tallow idea specifically, like we bought a quarter cow from a friend who's got a little cattle operation in Cameron. And he was like, do you want the beef fat to like make tallow out of? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Like I've heard of cooking tallow, whatever, you know, we eat a lot of steak. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And so I start looking up how to render tallow down and how to make cooking tallow. And then, you know, your phone just goes crazy after you Google something like enough times. And so I start to see like, oh my God, like you can make so much stuff out of this. And we cared a lot about what was going in our body. We had not given a lot of thought to like what goes on our body. But when we had a baby, we started thinking about that. So I would look on the ingredients labels of stuff, of lotion and body wash and stuff, and I'm like, why is there blue and yellow dye in this? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? So I was having trouble finding like products that I trusted, and I should have cared about myself like that the whole time. But it wasn't until I had a son that I started to care. And so when I saw that you could make like personal care products out of tallow, I was like, oh shit, like I'll give it a shot. And a little goes a long way. You can make a lot of products with like 5 to 15 pounds of beef fat. And so I had like a bajillion jars of tallow moisturizer. And I was like, oh no, like I made too much. So I was like, well, I'll give it to some friends and family. And they loved it. And I was like, oh, I'll put it on Facebook Marketplace, and so I threw it up on there. And then like people were beating the door down because they were like, we have been looking for local products because we don't trust anything that's out there. And like, if you're making this stuff locally, because like the customers who want tallow products, natural soaps, whatever, you can find that stuff on Amazon. Unfortunately, like our soaps are on Amazon, but like unfortunately, Amazon has been so overrun by like companies from a certain country who maybe have some shady business practices.
China.
So like your homemade brands from America are on page like 1111 of the fucking search results, and they don't trust that stuff. And it's bad. It's not only bad for like just like having shitty products on Amazon sucks, but it's bad for small brands who actually take the time to get onto Amazon, because now that trust is already broken. So like that's one less avenue that like small business owners have to reach people. So it's just a bummer. But people love to buy that stuff locally. And so I threw up a little website and started doing little farmers markets and stuff like that. And it just took off. Like I had no idea that people were so interested in this, particularly like I'm in a military community at Bragg, and we're exposed to like so much bullshit in the military. You'd almost think that like people don't even care anymore. And that couldn't be further from the truth, because we're so exposed to stuff that we can't control. A lot of dudes, like we were talking about with the alcohol thing, like they're starting to take ownership where they can of their own wellness. And so, you see a lot of dudes, a lot of military families are buying meat from farmers down here. They have chickens in their backyard. You know what I mean? Like if you register your chickens as emotional support animals, the HOA in the city and the county can't come for you. So
really?
I swear to God. Yeah. Super easy.
Jotting that down.
I know. Yeah, there's nothing.
Shout out to Sunny Egg Co. Might get some of your chicken sent my way.
Exactly. So people are figuring out kind of taking control of like what they're taking into their body, what they're putting onto their body, which I think is great because it's supporting local farmers. It's strengthening our food supply system, because if there's not a market for it, like the food supply system isn't going to be strong all of a sudden when a problem happens. Like your guest that was talking about all the agriculture. That was a great episode. And like, he's right. Like there's a huge problem, but like, I'm not a wait on the government to fix it kind of gal. Like I was the government, and like, I know how long that shit takes, and it's a mess. And so like, so I like vote with your dollar. Like that's what's going to matter to corporations. But like you could not buy something from Tyson Meats and they probably won't notice. But you go purchase a whole cow from a farmer, like a local farmer, and that guy's going to notice. His family's going to notice. Like that amount of money that you invested in yourself and at that local farm is going to be felt, whereas your business leaving this multinational corporation, they're never going to know. And so, yeah, like, so there was just this hidden market of people who felt like I did, moms who felt like I did, soldiers who felt like I did. And I just didn't know it was there. And I felt like I stumbled on it, and it's been fantastic. Like, the support that we have from people in this community, and like increasingly in the military community. Like, I feel like I should have tapped into that market and let them know I was out here sooner, because I don't think people are talking to them in like the natural care space. Like, I don't think people are talking to soldiers right now, and like they should be, because those are the guys that need it. Like even if you're not like buying meat from a farmer, like it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It took me a while to stop using like the cleaning products that I really, really love. It was a hard pill to swallow to fill a spray bottle up with vinegar and clean my kitchen with that. Like, dude, I'm not going to say I did it right away because I didn't. It took me a while to get there, but I got there. And so it was just kind of like a one thing at a time. And like anything that you can do to eliminate toxins or things that you don't understand from your life, like that's a good thing, you know. And people will try to gaslight you like, oh, everything's a chemical, like at its core. And just because you can't read it doesn't mean it's bad for you. And I'm like, okay, motherfucker, like, you know, like don't talk to me like I'm an idiot. Like, you know, like I'm not an idiot. And these people aren't here out here aren't idiots. Like if it came from a real thing, you would be putting that real thing on your label. But you're making it in a lab, you know. And so like I don't make my stuff in a lab. I make my stuff like right in my kitchen, and like it keeps me at home with my baby, and I can keep fulfilling that promise I have to my husband, gets us outside at farmers markets. Like I truly love it. And I think not wanting to like get rich off of tallow soap keeps it in like a healthy a healthy thing, you know. Like I'm not gonna have some MBA come in and tell me how to scale my business and like start compromising my values, because like we talked about, like integrity is super important to me. And like I know how I'm making my stuff, and if I were to compromise, like I don't know that I could stand in front of a customer and be like, here's this thing that you're going to put on your child, you know. Like
Exactly.
you got to take
Exactly.
that stuff really seriously. So
Jess, I can't tell you how much I'm in the same boat, man. We're new parents as well, and
congratulations.
thank you. Before
That's
we
awesome.
even like started our journey with being parents, my wife was super like, I have endocrine issues, and my wife's the same mentality, hard hitting. Like once you find something's wrong with the way your body's operating, it was like, okay, what else is a disruptor of your hormones and your endocrine system? And we just changed everything from air purifiers to friggin' everything that we have around. Same thing, cleaning agents in the house. But the moment we found out we're having little Izzy, it was like, okay, like we need to drastically look at what we put on our bodies, what we put in our food. And same thing, that pulling that little string will just take you down a deep web of like looking at all the shit that you put in your pharmaceuticals and the things that you put in the cleaning agents and what you put in your, you know, we always thought like, oh, the things that make it smell good in your soap is perfect. It's great stuff. No, it's fucking harmful for you. So your mission with your tallow products is absolutely something that I can look at and say like, dude, we need to support this. And where can people get your products?
Yeah, so like I said, our soaps and deodorants and shampoo bars are on Amazon. So if you got some Prime points built up or something, I'm not going to judge you. You know, you can go buy them off Amazon. But our full like line of products is available at tandlerstallow.com.
Perfect. And where can people connect with you on social media?
Tandler's Trying Hard is our Instagram. And every once in a while, I'll throw something up on the TikTok, but Instagram's where it's at.
Heck yeah. Jess, thank you so much for joining us today. I greatly appreciate you being vulnerable enough to share your complete story, man. It's something that everybody has a personal opinion, but like I said earlier, like get outside of your beliefs and just look at the human factor. Like if a person has a dream and they're willing to do the job and they can do the job and they've gotten the fucking Ranger tab and they've gotten the proven record of doing it, like just be happy for a human being that's out there chasing their dreams. And your story is just that, like somebody that's wanted to do this great big thing, and somehow it all lined up. And man, I am so grateful for you sharing that story, and even more grateful that you're willing to go out there and then try again with an entrepreneurial endeavor, which I know is not easy.
No, it's so scary.
Yeah. But thank you so much for being here, and to everybody tuning in. Thank you guys. I'm not going to keep you longer, but please go to the episode description, click on those links, buy a bar of soap or two. And when you're done, go to Spotify or YouTube, hit us, leave us a comment and a like and a subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. It is my mission to bring you great individuals like Jess and help you, you know, understand that the human spirit can go through some hard, challenging things and still make it out alive and make it out, especially after being an 82nd and get in trouble for memes. That's
Yeah, you can't say it was DEI, so I gotta go, Mar. So like, I wasn't getting special treatment. For the love of
God. It was memes that brought her down, folks.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Denny.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you all next time. Till then, take care.